It's time now for a look latest in local sports and sports. We begin with high school football. This past Friday night, the Wayne County Yellow Jackets at JC Stadium opened up a 49-0 halftime lead and cruised to a 56-7 win over the Islands, who fell to 0-7 on the season. Matthew Fuller, another big night on offense. He scores 3 touchdowns alone in the first half on runs of 8, 4, and 40 yards. Quarterback Andy Peel connected with Eric Hodges on a nice 18-yard touchdown pass, and the Jackets improved to 5-1, 1-0 in region play. They'll host New Hampstead, who's also 5-1 this Friday night. They defeated Southeast Bullock Friday 34-22. In the second half, Terrion Gray scored on a second-half opening kickoff of 80 yards. Tavion Wallace had a pick six of 37 yards for a touchdown, and the Jackets roll Friday night. Big part of the success this year has been the Wayne County defense. They've been a big part of the team. After the game, I asked Coach Jay Beauchamp to talk about how well the defense is playing this season.
The overall speed, when you look at us on the field and being able to run and recover, we're not perfect all the time, but we're athletic and we can run in space. And, I think if you look at really good high school football teams and even look at in college, and, man, the overweight, having really, really big people is almost kind of leaving, and it's more about speed and athleticism and length. And, so that's how we're trying to train people, especially on our defense. And, Coach Crutchfield and the defensive staff are doing a great job of being simple, but also being dynamic in a way that we just let our guys go play, have fun, try and create turnovers, and put them in successful spots. But, they just every week they show up in a bright spot, whether it's a turnover or a big stop on fourth down or bowing their back on a goal line stand. Every week they're kind of just taking that chip on their shoulder of, make them snap it again. We want to keep playing, and, man, they love to compete. It gets chippy at practice, and they like to get after each other. Sometimes we have to control our emotions a lot better, but on the flip side, it's also what makes them a really good defense, because they play with a lot of emotion and they get after people, and just continuing to get better every day. And I'm really I like where we're at, and I like where we are in our developmental, and we'll keep developing and keep going.
And again, those comments after the game, and Coach Jay Beauchamp. Other scores around the area: Appling defeated Toombs County 34-21. Brunswick over Lakeside Evans 44-10. Camden beat Richmond Hill 21-14. Dodge over Jeff Davis 21-14. Glen Academy beat South Effingham 13-9. Statesboro shut out Greenbrier 35-0. Valdosta over Lyons in that big showdown 13-6. Ware County still number one in their classification. They grow over Jenkins 42-14. Once again, a reminder, this Friday night it's Wayne County hosting New Hampstead. Both teams come in with records of 5-1. Both teams 1-0 in region play, so it'll be a huge region game this Friday night at home. In college football, Georgia beats up on Auburn in Athens 42-10, moves to 6-0 on the season. Quarterback Stetson Bennett stats 22 of 32 for 272 yards, and he ran for a 64-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. Dogs were 5-5 in the red zone area, an area where they struggled the past 2 weeks. Dogs host Vandy Saturday in Athens before the annual showdown in Jacksonville with the Gators. Georgia Tech wins for the second week in a row, this one in overtime over Duke. Final score, Tech 23, Duke 20. Tech moves to 3-3 and has the weekend off. Georgia Southern loses at Georgia State 41-23. They fall to 3-3 after a 3-1 start. They'll host James Madison on Saturday in Statesboro. Other college scores: Alabama beat Texas A&M 24-20, Ohio State 49, Michigan State 20, Notre Dame over BYU 28-20, Tennessee rolled over LSU 40-13, Ole Miss over Vandy 52-28, South Carolina upset Kentucky 24-14, NC State 19, FSU 17, Florida over Missouri 24-17, Mississippi State wins again. They beat Arkansas 40-17. New poll is out. Georgia jumps back up to number 1. Ohio State goes to 2, and they drop Alabama all the way to number 3. Clemson's in at 4, Michigan 5, Tennessee 6, USC 7th, Oklahoma State 8th, Ole Miss 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Penn State. In at 11 is UCLA. They're still unbeaten. Oregon Ducks at 12, TCU 13, Wake Forest 14, NC State 15, Mississippi State 16, Kansas State 17, 18 is Syracuse, 19 Kansas, and Utah rounds out the top 20. 21 is Cincinnati, 22 Texas, 23 Kentucky, 24 Illinois, and 25 James Madison's Georgia Southern's opponent this Saturday. NFL football, Falcons lost to Tampa Bay on Sunday. Final score 21-15. Jaguars lose at home to the Texans 13-6. Other scores: Titans over the Commanders of Washington 21-17. Jets win over the Dolphins 40-17. Saints over Seattle 39-32. Vikings over the Bears 29-22. Buffalo rolls over Pittsburgh 38-3. Giants over Green Bay 27-22. LA Chargers over Cleveland 30-28. 49ers defeated Carolina 37-15. Dallas wins again. They beat the Rams 22-10. Philadelphia is still unbeaten. They downed the Cardinals 20-17. Last night the Ravens beat the Bengals 19-17 on a last-second field goal by Justin Tucker. Monday Night Football was the Chiefs and the Raiders. Second round of the Major League Baseball playoffs get underway this week. On Tuesday, the Braves are hosting the Philadelphia Phillies. Game 1 here on Big Dog Country, FM 105.5. First pitch at 1:07. Pregame gets underway around 12 noon. And all the action here on Big Dog Country, FM 105.5. Other games, Houston will host Seattle in Game 1 at 3:30. The Yankees host Cleveland at 7:30. And the night game will be the San Diego Padres, who eliminated the Mets last night 6-0. They'll be in Los Angeles for Game 1 Tuesday night at 9:37 first pitch. Busy week for our varsity girls softball team as they wrap up the regular season this week. 2 big games at the Barbara Strickhoff softball field. Both games at 5:30. Both games will be heard here on Big Dog Country, FM 105.5. Tomorrow, the Lady Jackets host Jeff Davis. Thursday, the region game, the makeup with the Islands. That's a key game on Thursday. Again, with the win Thursday, Wayne County would wrap up the region title, and they would host that 14 playoff with a trip to Columbus on the line next week. But they need a win Thursday to clinch the region. Again, if they lose, it'll be a 3-way tie, and it'll go to tiebreakers. We encourage everyone to come out this Tuesday and Thursday for varsity girls softball. This past weekend at the Pine Forest Country Club, the annual J.D. Paul Memorial Scholarship. A lot of money raised for the scholarship committee. Winning teams, first place with the 54. Ryan Robertson's team hit Carl Carroll and a couple of town golfers. Second place also with the 54, Finley Burke, Antonio Warbay, Brett Malloy, and Zach Robertson. Third place with the 55, George Stafford, Jim McPipkin, Robert Lamb, and Tony Sutton. And our congrats to the winners, big winner of the J.D. Paul Scholarship, as all the proceeds from the event go to the scholarship committee to hand out scholarships at the year-end baseball banquet. And that's going to do it for latest in local sports.